Good morning, everyone, and happy Sunday. And so we are at this abbey, and it's a abbey that's no longer in use. It is now kind of being restored by the government because of its historical significance. Um, but it's also kept watched by the local parish in the area. So we're going to have mass here, which doesn't happen very often, I guess, at this location. But it's kind of nice to have mass. And of course, mass will be offered up to the people of my three parishes, which every pastor does on Sunday. He always offers mass up for people of the three parishes. So, all right, I'll see you guys. God bless. Bye. So this is the Abbey of St. Mary of Cerrate. And yeah, so we just kind of came through the gate here of the walls of the Abbey. And so here's the church dedicated to St. Mary. So we pray mass in. God bless you guys. Bye. So this is the inside of this church. So it's a smaller church, and you can see a baldacchino up front there. And we are all getting ready for Mass. We're going to pray Mass here today. So the church here of St. Mary's was made in the 11th century, and there's monks who came over from Greece who came here to live and to pray. And so there's a mixture of Byzantine and Roman styles inside this church. The outside is Romanesque here. And you'll see there's these figures here that are half lined, a body lined, and then the face of a pig. So you can kind of see the little nostrils there and the flat nose. That was a reminder to the monks to leave sin behind as you enter into the holy place of God. And then up above you have the images of Mary, depicting life of Mary. So this first one here is Mother Mary. On the opposite side is the angel, Archangel Gabriel, so you think of the Annunciation. And then up here, you have the Visitation, Mary visiting Elizabeth. Up here, you have the three magi. Over in the center is the star that they're following. Here's the birth of Jesus. And so Jesus in the lap of Mary, the two animals there. Continue seeing. Here's the washing of Jesus, which is pointing to his future baptism. Now we'll go inside the church. So immediately to the left, you have these frescoes here, and this is actually a fresco of St. Mary. So Mary, mother of Jesus, when she was a little girl, and so she's being held by her mom, St. Anne, and her dad, St. Joachim, who's reaching out for her. This is an image of St. George slaying the dragon. So, because of this goal, they didn't have to compose the original. Right, hello everyone. So we had Mass here on the main altar of this church. The church was built in the 11th century. And so on this altar here is the image of Saint Irene. And Saint Irene, she's the patron saint of Lecce. And so here she's holding the city in her hand, and palm branches in the other hand. But in her hand she's holding the city of Lecce, as she was the patron saint until the 17th century. So that's kind of how she was depicted. The beautiful baldacchino. And that's the main altar here. And then I'll show you the images of the frescoes behind the altar. So right behind the altar, you have these five figures representing the five founders of the Byzantine Rite. You have the angel and saints in the next level. And you have Mary, her arms open in prayer. And then above Mary, of course, you have Jesus Christ. And so these frescoes are done in a Byzantine style. And so that's kind of why you have the mixture of both the Roman and Byzantine style, as the monks were from Greece. Here's the beautiful altar and baldacchino underneath it. And the frescoes behind it. This altar is a Baroque style, so it's made in the 17th century, and they built it right over the fresco here. And so that's what's kind of behind there.
Okay. Now I'll show you the third.
So here's the third and final altar dedicated to Mary, of course. And the monks, they were here until about the 15th century, then they left. And the reason for that is because it's close to the seashore, it's also in a plain, and so the pirates would come up and usually raid and do some horrible things here, so the monks did not feel safe. And so that's why you will see monasteries built like up on a mountain or these cliffs, a place where they're safe from barbarians or from pirates coming to raid them and kill them. And so that's why this was abandoned in the 15th century. And this is owned now by FAI, F-A-I, which is an Italian organization working on restoring historic sites, castles, churches, and so forth. So it's no longer a working abbey, but the local parish does kind of look over it as far as religious purposes goes. That's why we were able to celebrate Mass here today. All right, God bless, guys. From the main altar, we're going to go out this side door where you can see kind of slick patio type thing. And a thing to notice here are the capitals, which are made in a medieval style, and they have medieval characters on them, kind of like representing the horrors and the dangers of the world. And so you're stepping out of the sacred of the church, entering to the world, and the different temptations we need to fight in this life to stay faithful to Jesus Christ. And then over there, I'll show you that one. It shows a monk who is fighting these demons. So this one in the corner shows this monk who is struggling to fight off these beasts off of him, which represents the monk fighting sin and temptation to stay faithful to Jesus Christ. In the spiritual battle, warfare that we are all in, striving to stay faithful to Christ. And fighting these beasts, as these temptations that come our way through the world, the flesh, and the devil. So from the patio here, we see the well, and the well has some mystical features on it from the sea. So right here, you see a mermaid with two tails. And then on the other side, on top, you'll see a sea creature and a person fighting it. So you'll see that right there. From the church and the well, we're going to go inside here into this building, which is the main gate is right over there. And so inside here is the oven where they would have cooked and made bread and so forth. Today we have and so forth, right? So from here, we move in here and we see the mill, and so a donkey would have been hooked up to this, and you can see the path the donkey walked in order to rotate that top stone there to crush up the wheat or the grain to make flour. This is the mill that the monks used. Here's a model of the mill, so the donkey would go around. It's kind of broken here, but then this would rotate, and underneath there would be the grain, which would make the flour. So from the oven here, you have this deep hole, this cavern, and actually sailors would live down there because the farmers, they would bring in the olives and put the olives down here, and they would run the olive press down there because it needs to be a specific temperature, and this would be done in the winter. You couldn't have the mill up here for the olives because the temperatures wouldn't be the right. It needs to be 18 to 20 Celsius, and so they would be living down there for quite some time in order to keep this a certain temperature, and be pressing the olives to make olive oil, and the olive oil from here would be used for lighting lamps. All right, so we just kind of left the kitchen over there where they would bake, and then also the mill, and now we're heading past the church here over to this area, right? I guess we're coming in this building here, and this is from the 19th century. The other one that we saw was from the 17th century, so that's when the monastery was not run by monks anymore, just had been run by other people, the laity, and so that's why the sailors were down working there to make oil. But the 19th century, they had the technology to heat this space up, so they did not have to be underground. And but there's an oil press here where they would press the olives to get the oil, and it's kind of same concept, but they're a little bit different, as there's like 3 big wheels. Again, that would be, this thing with big arm would be pulled around by a mule, by a donkey, and then those big rock wheels would roll over the olives and press out the oil. So I'll give you a close-up of that. All right, thanks, please. So here's a close-up of the olive oil press. So these wheels would roll around on top of the olives. You can see they're kind of staggered at different areas, so kind of the majority of this flat surface gets rolled upon by these big rock wheels. There's a second one over there as well. So these mats here kind of acted somewhat like a filter. So the crushed olives in here would be placed on these mats, and these mats would be stacked upon one another. And then there would be like a wooden press that would come down, and then the oil would come out of those mats and it would go into like a water cistern. And because the oil doesn't mix with the water, the oil would be on top of the water, and then they would collect the oil off of that. So that's how the farmers would make the olive oil, by using this press and that technique. And again, it was used to light lamps. From the olive press, we come into this room, which has some frescoes in it taken from the church. So I'll show those. So these frescoes, they were inside the church, but now they're in this part of the building here. So here you have the image of the Annunciation, the Archangel Gabriel coming to Mary. Over here, you have St. George, who's slaying the dragon. Over here, you have another saint, and I forget his name, but in this depiction, he is hunting, so he looks like a knight, even though he was from the Roman period. But he has a sword, and then up here is a deer, and between the deer's antlers is an image of Christ. So you have this image as he's hunting of Jesus Christ, and Jesus telling him to spare this animal on this hunt, and so he did. And he gave up his life of fighting, and because he was a warrior, and so he was very much into battles and fighting others, and so he kind of changed his life and started living a Catholic Christian life, a life of love and service to others. Over here, there's 3 different figures, and over on this wall, so the first one I showed you was from the later 14th century, and this is from the early 14th century. And here is depicted the Dormition of Mary, where Mary, she's here laying down, and then the apostles around her, and then you see Jesus here, and Jesus holding this infant, and that represents the soul of Mary. Of course, Mary's taking body and soul into heaven, but the reason it's depicted here in art as a child is because a child is seen as nothing more innocent than a child, right? So showing the innocent soul of Mary, she's taken up body and soul into heaven. So coming out of this building here, where we saw the olive press that was done in the 19th century, where it's above ground, coming outside, and we head over here, see some garden here, and then there's a story right here, which is so down here is the olive press, and so we'll head down there and see what it looks like. Here is an example of the underground olive press. Would have been the press here, different rooms. Again, people would have lived down here, right? So the sailors who would live down here, and so their bedrooms would have been down here. They would have dropped food down here for them to eat, and the reason for that is because they had to keep it at the 18 to 20 Celsius degrees for the olives to be made. And so here's the stairs, so it just kind of gives you an idea of how deep into the ground we are. So from the church and the well, we go over here and go up these stairs and see what's up here. God bless. So coming up the stairs here, you can go inside here. There's a sitting area, and then there's a little video explaining the facilities here. So we'll go inside there, see what that looks like. But here you have a good view of the church, of the little patio here. That's where the olive press was at, above ground, and there's also one underground as well. So just to give you a little idea of it. There's the well, of course. Right, so coming through this doorway, they have, if you come here, they have a little video presentation of the whole facilities here. It's in Italian, so I can't understand it.
Nello stile delle fondazioni normanne, il romanico, come in una basilica.
Just it's all Italian to me because I don't understand it. But anyways, it shows like the history of this place and talks about it. And here's the doorway that we came through the stairs. So it's a little sitting area. So I don't know what this would have been back in the day, but it's kind of what it is now. Right, God bless.